it's the elephant in the room.
Property taxes skyrocketing across Montana.
So we got a hit of about 70%, and now it's even, more.
He's getting a tax deduction that was meant for family farms and ranches to be passed on. I think it's totally improper that he's using it.
But there are some very notable exceptions, including Governor Gianforte.
Again, if people want to assign blame for property taxes, number one would be county and city governments. Number two would be voters in cities and counties that approve mill levies.
This is home values are rising fast around the Treasure State.
It's just scary because there's not enough time, not enough money.
How hard is it to crack the market? We take a look at what it means for buyers and sellers in Billings.
We felt stuck for years. We just don't think that we're going to get out of this house.
And several big-time developments popping up in the center of the Magic City. But will any of them help solve the affordable housing crisis?
We attempt to answer those questions and more right now on the MTN 530 News.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm RUSS RIESINGER.
And I'm ANDREA LUTZ. Tonight, an in-depth look at the property tax fiasco and the stark reality that some Montanans are facing.
When real estate prices soared following the pandemic, Montana leaders, including Governor Greg Gianforte, had an opportunity to dial back on rising residential property taxes, but failed to do so.
Well, it is leaving some Montanans with a tough decision, either pay those rising tax bills or sell their properties. First tonight, I introduce you to a Bozeman family who is living right next door to Montana's governor, and they are living this reality.
It's been a full circle journey.
So here's the driveway, and then this is the main road.
For Deborah Newville.
I would say I am 3.
A Montanan returning home to the place she grew up.
So this is the home that we're sitting in.
Here to this property on Manley Road in the Gallatin Valley.
My dad did some of the electrical, and of course some of the outlets don't work. And my parents ended up buying this property in '68.
As a child, she reveled in its beauty.
Well,
but now
it does make me sad.
She faces an ugly reality.
It threw me such a curveball. Yeah.
This 10-acre, 2,500 square foot property with its retro green countertops, now valued at over $2 million, saw a 70% property tax increase.
So approximately $1,000 a month is going out for property taxes.
Deborah says she couldn't believe it, so she started asking questions.
Our immediate neighbor next door, which happens to be the governor, their taxes seem to kind of just go up a bit.
The governor's 11-acre, 4,400 square foot property saw an increase of only 19%. The reason, an agriculture exemption. Manley Road is home to longtime family farms. However, the Newvilles say that's changed. Now everywhere you look, mansions.
We own 10 that's mainly a cottonwood forest. We're paying more than he is. He's not a farmer. He's a land developer and speculator who's using that ag exemption improperly to not pay taxes on it.
And it seems the governor's Helena neighbors are paying more in property taxes too. After looking at public tax documents of more than 40 homes that surround Greg Gianforte's home on 618 Madison Avenue, all but a few saw sizable increases, while the governor's property decreased by 7%. According to the Department of Revenue, the reason the governor's house was reappraised at a higher value, but still by less than his neighbors. Assessed at $770,000, but currently on the market for $2 million.
Every action item that was taken by the legislature, by the governor on taxes was all tax cuts.
Kyle Schmock with the Senate Republican says Montana's property tax issue is complicated. So if Montanans are looking for blame, he says it's not with the governor.
Almost all property tax in Montana goes to paying for 3 things: county government, city government, and schools.
Brad Molnar of Laurel is also a Senate Republican. While he doesn't believe Gianforte's been unethical, he says state leaders, including the governor, could have prevented the property tax increases. We repeatedly reached out to the governor, hoping to sit down and have him explain the disparities over his Helena mansion, but he declined. But a spokesperson said through email there's more to the story regarding the Newvilles, saying the governor delivered historic property tax relief for Montanans who live here, not for those who live out of state or those with second and third homes, pointing to how the Newvilles still own a home in Portland, Oregon. But the Newvilles don't buy it.
Again, when somebody maybe is playing the system a little bit.
You got real farmers that produce food for people to eat, and then you got your tax deduction farmers.
86.
Deborah's dad nurtured this property for his family for years.
He made it through the pandemic.
She's always intended on keeping the property.
To have something special like this to stay within a family.
But now,
I don't know, it's a question mark. We'll see how it goes.
Holding out for a more permanent tax solution.
He really thought, I think we could handle it.
Now, we never actually got an answer from the governor's team on how much farmland he actually owns at that Bozeman property. We do know that it rotates between irrigated alfalfa and barley. So what is this ag exemption all about? In Montana, land over 160 acres automatically gets an agriculture designation. However, if your parcel is less than 20, you need to meet certain criteria. One way is to produce $1,500 of egg product, which is documented, and it can be consumed by people or livestock. Now, tax expert Josh Slotnick from Missoula County says egg exemptions can help many family farms.
No one is abusing this. I believe the rules need to be updated. All the people I know who are involved in agriculture are playing by the rules. People I know who pay taxes play by the rules. These rules were written a long time ago, and the rules related to ag land, I believe, need an update, specifically around small-scale ag in western Montana, where saying you can make $1,500 is a pretty low bar.
The Newvilles asked the Department of Revenue about how they could get that egg exemption, but determined the cost to start up would be too high, and they'd have to clear out all those charming cottonwood trees, which they say serve as a natural corridor for wildlife. Deborah says she was told growing sunflowers or fruit trees wouldn't count.
Most Bozeman homeowners have now received round 2 of their new property tax bills, and they continue to sting, with some still facing increases as high as 100%. That's the reality for Maureen Holt, who's lived in her rural Gallatin County home since 1979.
The original property tax assessment, yeah, I had heart failure. It was crazy. And my husband was like, this can't be right.
In fact, it wasn't. Holt was one of more than 21,000 Montanans to appeal her assessment and actually had the rate slightly reduced. But many others, like Vicky Riojas, weren't so lucky. She and her husband built their Bozeman house in 1992 and now are retired with their mortgage fully paid off. But now they're stuck paying much more than they planned for.
The money that we pay monthly now to put into that savings account so we have the money to pay in November is about what our mortgage was when we built. So if something would happen to me or my husband and that income is in half, that's very concerning.
Both said they received the state's $675 tax relief check, but that it didn't come close to covering their new tax reality.